So remember, you go File, go Options, and then go to Add-ins right here. And then go here to Add-ins again. Go, and then click on the Analysis Tool Pack. My computer, it's the professor computer, so it's going to save the option. If you do it in your personal computers, you'll remember that option. But in the student computers, we'll have to do it again. Right? And we'll use a data analysis tool pack for another thing today. So how did we build the histogram? We did data analysis, and then we selected here histogram. Okay. And then your input range is your daily returns. Okay. And the bin range is the one we built last class. This column right here. And then last class we built it, we put it in a new worksheet. Each one of those is called worksheets, which is right here. Or you can put this in your existing spread worksheet. You select a place where you have plenty of space, maybe right there. And then last class we selected here chart output. Today I'm going to select also this one right here, cumulative percentage, so you can see what that means. I click OK. Output missing, please. Just contain with this one data point. Because it deletes something, I don't know why. Let me repeat this. Here it is. So we have the bins in the horizontal axis. We have the histogram. And now we have that orange line. We didn't have that one last class. And that's a cumulative frequency. So what does that tell you? we have how many observations? I think almost 2,000 of them. So by the time you get to this bin right here, which is 3.66, look at the line. It's almost equal to 100%, which tells you that most of the points are going to be to the left of this bar right here. There are very few that are going to be right here, and then most of them are going to be concentrated around this point right here. Now, I believe I told you something incorrectly. The kurtosis for a normal distribution, I told you it is 3. And then I gave you a couple shapes. When it's pointy like this one, or when it's very flat. I think I told you backwards. It's going to be pointy when the kurtosis is greater than 3. Because the kurtosis for this is what? 22, which is much greater than 3. And that's why this one doesn't look like a nice normal distribution. Okay. So if you check in your notes, I think I told it to you backwards. When it's greater than 3, it's going to be pointy. And when it's less than 3, it's going to be flat. Okay? I guess something else. So it's equal to 3 when it's normally distributed. More than 3, it's going to be point in the middle. All of the points, a lot of the points are going to be concentrated around the mean. and then less than 3 is going to be very dispersed, okay? Because the mean is always the point in the middle. Right? They actually have names. You don't have to know this for the exam, but this is called cladokertic, and this is called leptokertic. But just know the concept of keratosis. All right. So that's all the stuff we have been doing in that screen. Downloading data, calculating daily returns, doing all the descriptives. We did the descriptives with equations, like right here, and then that with a table that Excel makes for you. The difference, remember, is when you use equations like this, if you change a number here, it will change automatically in your descriptives. And when you use this method right here, it's a table, and it has no equations. So if you change a number, you have to go back and change everything. And then we count how many are positive, what proportion, and then we did daily returns, positive, negative, using average if. Put the equation here. And then we did we plotted the stock price, the adjusted close price. We talked about here mean reversion, and then we calculated the beans, and then we calculated the histogram. Have you tried doing a stock on your own at home? No. You'll have to do this as a group. I think it's a model. It's a group model. I'll give you the specifics next class, so you can start working on this. Alrighty. So let's do something new today, unless you want to ask me something. And in Blackboard, let's open this file right here. It's called if, then, and regression. I'm going to show you how to do if-then commands in Excel. They're very useful when you're doing calculations. Have you opened the file, everyone? You have it? Alrighty. Okay. And I have 3 different tabs right here, so we'll be going over each one of them and do different calculations. Now, if-then commands. Sometimes you want to do a calculation, but you have 2, 3, 4 different criteria. So you have to use an if-then command. If this happens, then Excel will do this calculation. If this happens, then it will do these calculations. Else do this other calculation. And that's going to save you a lot of time when you're doing these financial calculations. So to give you a simple example, I use this all the time when I'm calculating final grades. This is my econ class, 140 students. Now I've removed the names, but those are the real final grades. And you can see that if I go all the way to the bottom, it's 140 plus of them. So those are the number final grades, and I have to calculate the letter grade. That's easy. 97 will be what? A, and then 84 will be B, etc. But I don't want to do that manually, so we can use Excel to do it for us. And so we can use if-then commands. If the grade is greater than 90, A. If it's more than 90, 80, less than 90, B. So the basic structure is the following. It's equals, and I'm doing B7. If, that's the command, and there are a lot of them. There's 3 of them. We'll use the first one. And then you open a parenthesis. Okay? And then you can't see it in my screen, but you can see in yours. It's asking for the logical test. Okay? So in this case, it will be the following. If that cell right there, A7, it's greater than 90, and we'll keep it simple for now. So that's the logical test. Once you finish that, you put a comma. And then what is Excel asking you for? value if true. So in this case, if it's greater than 90, I want Excel to put a letter A in the cell. Now, when you do numbers, you can do numbers or you can do letters. If it's a number, you just put the number. If it's text, you have to use quotation marks. So put an A. Okay. And then for now, to keep it simple, put a comma. If it's false, what? Leave it blank. And the way you leave it blank in Excel, you use double quotes like that. And then you close the parentheses, press enter, and you can see that, well, it does meet the condition, so it's A. If I copy that equation to the next row, it's blank. Why? It's less than 90. Okay. If I copy that a few rows, you can see that it puts an A here, it leaves those two empty. So what if I want this? You know, maybe I can put another column here, and if it's greater than 80, then put a B. But then you end up with a lot of columns. So we can do nested if-then commands. So we're going to go and modify this equation. So press F2 so you can open that again. And let's modify that equation. Now, greater than 90 means that 90 will be a B. 90.1 will be an A. So if we want to do greater equal, then we do that right there. Greater equal than 90. It's going to be an A. And let's delete the double quotes. Okay. And I'm going to put a new if-then command. So if it's false, it's not greater or equal than 90, do the following. If, and anytime you put an if, you have to open a new parenthesis. If A7, yes, greater or equal than 80, comma, if that's true, then what is going to be the letter grade? It's going to be a B, okay? So Excel will go through all of them in sequence. It's not greater or equal than 90, so it goes to the next one. If it's greater or equal than 80, put a B. If it's not greater or equal than 80, we open a new nested if. You always have to put a parenthesis. So in this case, if A7, it's greater equal than 70, comma, if it's true, put a C. And you can give A, B, C, D, and F. So we still have to do D and F. So let's do another comma. If, and you have to open a new parenthesis, A7 greater or equal than, in this case, 60, comma, letter D, comma, and there's no need to do another if-then command, because if none of those are true, it's asking me if false, and if none of those are true, then what is the letter grade? We put an F. So there's no need to do the if-then for the F. Okay. And you can see that the parenthesis here is green, because anytime you open a parenthesis, you have to close it. So if you look at my screen, you can see that when I close them, they have different colors. So it is closing each one of the ones I open. The last one I close is black, and the first one I open is black. So when you see the black one, that means that you finished closing all of them. So now I can press enter. I'm going to center this and do this. Formula, text. So that's the formula. You don't have to do that. You can see that later. And now I'm going to double click here so you can copy this all the way to the bottom. And then look, Excel automatically puts a letter grade for each one of those students. Is it working? Because I hear somebody's computer is beep, 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 beep. Did it work for all of you? How would you guys count how many of those students have A in the class? Count if, okay? So let's make a table here. A, B, C, D, and F. So for each one of those letter grades, calculate on your own, and then I'll do it with you. How many are A, how many F, B, C, and D? Let me erase this one. If it's not working, you're missing a comma, you're not closing a parenthesis, you're missing the quotes, something. Now, unless you become teachers, you won't be using maybe this right here. But if you're working and you have clients, you have categories, you can assign different conditions to each one of them. So it does have applications, and you'll see later we'll use those. So how many A's? Count if, and my range is that one, comma, and it will be equal to A. It's missing. What is it I didn't like? Like this? That one? Like that? That, yes, and that one is text, but it's 0, and I do have. But I put the. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So 36 of them. Thank you. Now, do you see that I log the B7 and the other B146? I just do that because then when I want to count B's, I copy this formula, and then I go here, and instead of making that an A, I make it a B. And because I log the range, I don't have to select the range each one of the times I want to do this. It's just. So that's my letter grade distribution. Yeah. For all of them, it's the same formula, except it's A, B, C, D, and F. Column C. This one right here? It's just I want to count how many A's, how many B's. So I just type A, B, C, D, and F. And the proportion of letter A's, how will you calculate that? Proportionally, how many A's, how many B's, how many C's, how many D's, how many F's? So it will be each one of them divided by the total, right? Now, how do you find the total? You can use the equal, because there are many ways to do this. You can count using the count command how many total students. I tend to do the following, so you can see other ways. I can do equals that over sum of that range, right? Because if you add up all of those, it'll give you the total number of students. Now, when I copy that equation, I want to use D9 and then D10, D11, but I always want to use that range, so I press F4 and it's going to log all of them. Close, copy and paste, make that a percent. So it was 26% A, 29B, 22C, 11 a D, 13% got an F in the class. And those are real numbers. That one? Yes. And that's going to save you a lot of time because you have to do $4 signs. But if F4 will put them automatically. For this class, it's never been that way. The 13% of the class get an F. Just in case you wonder. That's the econ class, the principles. And most of those Fs, they stop going to class and they get what they get. Right? All right. No, it doesn't look like that either. In that class, before they fail the class, they drop it. Because by then they know the trick is. Okay. So keep in mind that if-then command, because we're going to use it for some financial calculations. Okay. Just before we do that, I have this one right here. It's another way to present data that you might find useful. I made up some numbers right here. It's the XYZ company, and we have sales from 2011 to 2016, and we have sales and profits. Okay? And we can do graphs, but sometimes you want to have a small graph without having something big in the way. So we can do the following. I'm going to click here on H2 and then go to Insert. And last class we used some of these charts right here, but you have this option right here, Spark Lines. So if you click on the line, it's asking for data range. So I'm going to select those right there, sales, press Enter. And because I selected H2, automatically put H2 here, click OK. And you can see that it put a trend line. So you can see quickly sales going up, going down. Okay? So visually, it's more appealing. So if you send this to somebody for review, they can see the trend in sales or for your own consumption. And in the next one, I'm going to do sparking lines, but there's a different kind. So let me do Insert. I'll do this one, Win-Loss. And you have to select the range. Now you can see, you see those two red ones? That's because look at profits here. They're negative. But all the others are positive. So it puts a blue bar, and then the height of the bar obviously tells you if they're going up and down. So again, visually, that's very appealing to people when they're looking at a report. And later you can play with Excel. If you click here, there's all kinds of templates and options, and I'll let you guys play with all of that. You can change the colors here. It's endless. Right? Now, something that it's also useful. Let's say you want to delete that bar. If you select that and you press delete in your keyboard, it's not going away. So how do you delete those? Go to your home menu here, and then go to this option here, clear, and you can clear all, format, content. So if you clear all, you'll get rid of the line. And that clear all, clear format, what it means is the following. I'm going to copy this number here. So it is 35. So it's going to copy the number, and it's going to copy the format, which is dollar signs. Let's say you want to keep the number, but you want to get rid of the dollar signs. You can do this, clear, and if you clear format, it clears all the formatting, but it doesn't clear the content and the actual number. Okay? Or sometimes you want to format this cell in the same way this one is formatted. So you can do the following. You can do copy. So you copy that cell, and then you want to copy the format into that one. So if you do paste, and you go to paste the special, you can copy the format only, and then click OK. So it will format the cell with the same format, but it's going to keep the number. In this case, I had the same number, but if I had different numbers, let me do it for you. Let me make this 1,000 so you can see. So copy, paste, special, format. So see, it keeps the 1,000, but it's gonna put the dollar signs. Little things you can do. Questions? We'll do regression, but I want to do something with you before that uses if-then commands. So I'm going to make a new, create a new one here. I'm going to show you some Excel formulas, some ways to format. So let's do the following example. Let's say you have a loan, and the loan amount is for $100,000. And the interest rate on this loan is 2%. Don't forget, if you do 2 and percent, it's going to make it percent already, so you don't have to go and click on format. So I'm keeping this very simple. What would be the interest payment if you have that loan with that rate? It will be equal to 100,000 times the 2%, so it will be $2,000. Okay. And then, if you want to make the rate 3%, you change to 3%, it'll make that 3,000, obviously. But if you want to make something really nice that looks really nice when you're making a presentation, we can do the following. I'm going to click here and increase the height of row number 2. Okay. Now, there's a menu up here called Developer. Now, you don't see that one because it's not part of the default command, so we have to add it. So let's go to File, go to Options, and it's not an add-in, it's part of your ribbon. All of that's called the ribbon, so click on Customize Ribbon. And then in this section, you see a bunch of menus, and there's one called Developer, and it's unchecked. So check that one. And I believe the next time you use your computers, it's going to be unchecked, unless it's your personal computer, so it's something you have to do. And then click OK, and then you'll see that one pop up here as a developer. Yeah, File, Options, and then go to Customize Ribbon, and then look for the Developer menu and check the box right here. Okay. Now, so go to Developer, and go to this toolbox right here. Click on that one, and you'll see many options popping up. They're the same, almost the same. The form controls and ActiveX controls will be using only form controls. Okay, and there was one called Spin Button, which is this one right here. Top, row, forward, left to right. So you click on that one, and you can draw a picture right here, and you'll see that's gonna put that on your computers, on your screens. Okay? So we'll use that one to increase or decrease the interest rate. And the way we do that is the following. Right-click on the spin button, and then go to the bottom where it says Format Control. Click on that one, and you can change some of these options like minimum value, maximum value, and how high you want to go. But see this cell link right here? You click on that one. So you're telling Excel the spin button will control that cell. Press OK. OK. And then click somewhere else so you can unselect the spin button. And when you click up, what is that doing? So it's increasing or decreasing the interest rate. So let's say you're putting something together for a client. You can set this to them, and then you can put instructions so they can manipulate this without having to type the number. So it looks nice. It looks professional. But what is the problem? That it's going up by 100%. points. So I want to do this by maybe 1 point, 1, 2, 3. So we right click on the spin button, we go to format control, and look at the incremental change is 1. Now if you try to make that 0.01, it doesn't work. That may be something that they fix in the future, but for now in Excel, the smallest change is 1. But I have percents. So we're going to do the following. You have to kind of get around this problem. So I'm going to, in that cell, let's do here, actually change this. So right click, format control, and the cell link, select D2. Now look at D2. When I click this, it goes up and down by 1 point. So I'm going to go to this one and make the following. It is going to be equal to that one, and then I'm going to divide that one by 100. So instead of being 4, it's going to be what? 0.04, and then you format that as a percent. So it is 4%. So look what happens. If I increase here, that's 5, but then this is equal to 5%. And then it's going to recalculate my interest payment. See, 6, 7, 8, or so when you're building your models for this class, whenever you can, put those. So when you send me the file, I open this, I can click on the buttons, and it can do all the changes. Okay. Now, the smallest change is 1%. What if I want to be able to do 7.5% or 6.5? How would you change this? The smallest change you can have here is 1 unit. So it's doing 6, 7, 8, 9, which is 7, 8%. How would you make it so that it can work for 3.5%, 4, 4.5, 5? What would you change? Not multiply, but by 200. So instead of doing 1, it's going to be 0.5. Look, increase the number of decimals here. And if I go up, see that? 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, and then it'll recalculate your interest payment. What if you want to be able to do quarter points, like 0.25? Then what do? Divide this by what number? 400. So now, if I do the spin button, look, 3.5, 3.75, 4, 0.25, 0.5. Well, the problem is that when you right-click here in format control, the smallest change here is 1. It cannot be 0.5.
No, but like when you type
19.5, maybe. No, but then see, and then it goes back to 1 by 1. So it's going to work the first time, but then the next time you click the button, it's going to go up by 1 and keep it. So that's not. Now, something I like to do personally, if you send this to a client and they see that number going up and down, it's going to confuse people. What is that number doing? So something I do, I click here in the color for the font, and I make it white. So it is right there, you just can't see it. But it's right there. I'll put it back so we can see it for now. So that's nice to do. Now let's do another type of control, and this one is going to use if-then commands. So in this one, we're going to be calculating the future value of an annuity. What is an annuity? Well, a perpetuity, it's a type of annuity that goes on forever, But a regular annuity will be what? It's when you make annual contributions with a fixed amount. It's always the same one. Okay? Or if you're making payments, like a mortgage loan, it's an annuity because the payment is always the same. And what is the basic time value of money equation? Future value equals present value times 1 plus r raised to the n power. Do you remember? That's your basic equation. Okay? The equation for future value for an annuity, because that only works for one cash flow, equals the following. Future value equals the payment divided by r, and then all of that times 1 plus r raised to the n power minus 1, I think. Yes, it's this one. Let me show you that in there. If you're calculating the future value of an annuity, that will be the formula. And payment is what? Is the annuity payment. R is the interest rate and number of periods, and then minus 1. So let's do that in Excel. So let's say the following, that we have annual contribution. And let's make it on an annual basis. Then we can do it monthly in future classes. And let's use a nice number, 1,000. And then let's do this, how many years is the annuity? Let's do 10 years. The interest rate on this annuity, let's say that it's 5%. So what will be the future value? So I want you guys to do the following. Do equals and see that equation. So convert that into an Excel formula so that it works using these 3 cells. So that if we change a number, like the contribution, years, or the rate, it automatically updates. I'll give you a couple minutes. Give it a try. It's going to be equal to not payment, but cell B11, etc. And to raise to an exponent in Excel, you have to use that hat command, the way I have it on the screen. You're supposed, if you do this right, you're supposed to get 21,578. No, less. So you stand here at 15. You're supposed to get this 12,577. That's the formula. If you want to add more parentheses, it's fine. Or you can. You all have that number? I can- So, if you want to make this a 7-year annuity, change this to 7, and it automatically updates the number. Now, if you guys buy an annuity, they don't come, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Typically, they sell, let's say 5, 10, and 15. They offer those 3 options. So we can include in Excel option buttons where you can select 5, 10, and 15. So we're going to do that in the following way. I'm going to increase the height of row number 12. So something like that, maybe. And I'm going to delete year so we can replace it with something else. You'll see. And go to the developer menu, click on the toolbox, and don't click on it yet, but there's an option called option button. It's this one right here. But whenever you use option buttons, before you insert them, use this command right here. It's called a group box. So I'm going to click on that one and draw a box in A12. Okay. And I'll tell you why you need a box. Let's do the commands first. And then you can click right here, and we can replace that with year. Okay. So you can name your box. And we may have to make it bigger. I don't know. So now, once you have that box, go to the toolbox again and click on the option button and draw one. And I want to put 3 of them. So actually, I'm going to have to make my box bigger because 3 of them will not fit inside. Okay. But I'm going to rename this one and call it, this one is going to be 5 years. So we're going to have 5, 10, and 15. So let me increase the height here, and then click on the box, and just make it bigger again. And then I'm going to go insert and put a new one here. And we'll call this one 10 years. And then insert and put a new one. And we'll call this one 15. So get to that point, and then I'll continue. Yes. Sure. Yeah, you can also do that. But I'm going to be using those equations later. And I didn't want to show you that so you can start practicing how to input equations. Because Excel has a lot of built-in functions like future value, but there are many that you don't have already built in, so you have to make your own equations. So, so you can practice to equals, open parentheses, and do all of that.
And it doesn't accept brackets, right?
No, it has to be parentheses. So if you need more than one set, you need to start opening more parentheses. You will. Now, what I'm going to show you, I'll do it once, and then you can review that class later. It's for cosmetics. If you see they're not lining up, so there's a way to line them up, and it's the following. You go home, and then I go to the last option here, and those are not cells, they're objects in your Excel. So the last before the last one option is select objects. So when I click on that one, see, if I try to select a cell, it doesn't work because I'm in select objects mode. But I can click on this one, and then I can select the 3 of them. And then I go to Format, and then there's an option here called align. So I want all of them line up to the left. So Excel automatically is going to line up all of them, and that looks nicer than having them all over the place. Okay. Now, they might not be equally distant, so you can also, there's another one here, it says distribute vertically. So you click on that one, and automatically they will be equally spaced vertically. And again, that's cosmetics. It doesn't affect. Yes. This right here? You go developer, insert, and then you click on an option button here, and then you insert one inside the box. Mm-hmm. Okay. So all of you have the 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? So I'm going to delete that number 7 again. Well, no, let's keep it in there. Okay. I'm going to select cell C12. Okay. But right-click on 5 years, and then you go to the bottom, and you format the control button. Okay. And you can have it unchecked, you can have it checked, doesn't matter. But cell link, let's make it C12. And then click OK. And it's going to be equal to 1. Now, look what happens if I check 10 years. It makes that equal to 2, and if I check 15, it'll make it equal to 3. So then right here, I'm going to do the following. Equals. If, and we'll use that nested ifs, if cell C12 equals 1, then I want that cell to be equal to what? 5 years. Comma, if cell C12 equals 2, then I want the cell to be equal to 10 years. Else, make it equal to 15. And then close the parentheses. I'll go back and open formulas, but look what's going to happen. See my future value here? If I select 5 years, that's equal to 5. So it'll calculate for you the future value in 5 years. If I select 10 years, that's equal to 10, and it'll find it for 10 years. And if I click 15, it will change that to 15 and make that 21,000. So it's one way to show your clients, we sell 3 different annuities, 5, 10, and 15 years. Select the buttons, and then you can find your future value. Or you have your own financial planning company, and you have your salespeople. You can make this, you give it to them, so when they're selling the annuities, they can find what the future values are going to be.
I click 5 years, and it clicks 15 years as well, so it's at the same time. So I don't get to choose one separate.
No, right click on.
Yeah, my 5 years always.
Right click on one of them, and select this option, uncheck. And make sure all of them are, or then uncheck. Did it work? If you uncheck? Yeah. No. Sometimes, computers, they do weird things, so you can fix it. Sometimes the best thing to do is just clear everything and do it again. Sometimes you can fix it, and sometimes you look everywhere and you go through all the options and it's not going to work, so it's just better to make a new one. I can help you, and I can go. Now, the way you can make this even better, this right here, the 5%, you could include a spin button, so your client can select 5, 10, 15, and then you can also let them move the interest rate. And the annual contributions, if you accept any amount, then let them input any number. But if you only accept 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, then you can also use an option button or something similar. And this is all cosmetic. It doesn't really add value as far as the accuracy of the calculation, but it does help you to build better models. So whenever you're doing something in the class and you have to turn it in, and you see an option to include a spin button, an option button, so if you include one, so I can click on that, and you get a higher grade. All right. Questions? Yes. C12. And also in this one, while he checks the formula, cells C12 and B12, I make the font white for the same reason. If you click in these options, it's going to start moving the numbers. And then it's confusing for somebody who is not familiar with your equations. Like this. Those two, home, white. So when you click on the button, it'll do the calculation without you seeing the numbers fluctuate. It's just better that way, I think. You guys finished copying that? What happened today in the finance world that is relevant? Maybe several things, but there was a big one. The stock market reached how many points? 20,000 points. Does it matter? No, but 20,000, it's a nice number. The market went up, but because it crossed 20,000, it makes news. Someday when it crosses 30,000, it'll make news again, or 25, those kind of milestones. The market has been up all day long. The analysis we did for Netflix, you can also download the S&P 500, and we'll do that later, and you can do the same analysis, and then so you can get a better sense of the market. You can find the max, the minimum. Don't forget that this is a survey class, so the point is Excel, but then we do investments. This is cosmetic. We're doing annuities. We'll do more time value of money later. There's a lot of functions. So it seems like I'm going really fast with the topics, but these are all in your principles classes, so we go fast, okay? But you can review the class later. So having said that, I'm going to switch gears, and I'm going to use this one right here, regression. Now, all of you have taken statistics, and I believe you do regression analysis, and I think you use SPSS. I don't know if you use Excel, but let's use Excel so we can do a regression analysis. And I have the following. This is a hypothetical case where you have a company, and they make three products. A, B, and C. It doesn't matter what they are, just A, B, and C. And this is how many of each one of those they make. And this can be, it's monthly. So this month, this is how many units they make of each one, the next month, etc. And this is the total cost when the company makes those number of units. So in fact, let me highlight that and click on the dollar sign. So that will be the total cost of making those number of A, B, and C. The next month, these are the units they made, and this is the total cost, and so on. And we have data for 19 months. Okay? So let's say that you're the manager, and based on orders, let me skip a row so it doesn't interfere. You want to know the following. What will be the total cost if we make the following number of units? I'm going to make it equal to make it easy. You're forecasting that the following month you'll be making 500 units of each one, A, B, and C. So you want to forecast, you need an estimate of what's going to be the total cost so you can plan your budget. We can use regression analysis. And what is regression analysis? It's going to give you some ideas. How did it work? More or less, what did you do when you ran regression analysis? No, it hasn't been that long, maybe a year or so. Maybe a couple, but what is regression analysis? Yeah, so you can find a relationship between all of those variables. Okay? And then regression will give you an equation. And then you can use that equation and you plug in 500 in your variables and it's going to give you an estimate of the total cost. And you can do that by hand, it's just very time consuming, or we can use SPSS, Excel. If you have taken econometrics, same thing, they teach you how to do that. So Excel has the regression commands. And go to your data menu and you have the data analysis because we activate that at the beginning of the class. So click on data analysis and in the pop-up window find regression analysis. It's just called regression. Okay. And then click OK. And you have that window and it's asking for the Y input and the X range. So Y is your independent variable and X is the dependent variable, and you can have several independent variables. We have 3 of them in this case. So let's click right here and select the Y variable, which will be cost. So, and I believe you can select cost and go to the bottom, and then you can press enter. Now, because I selected the cost cell right here where it says label, make sure you select labels so Excel knows that the top row is the label. If not, it's not going to give you a number. And then your X range, if you click here, it will be from A made all the way to C made and all the way to the bottom, right? And we can make this in a new worksheet. Or you can put it right here. I like to have it here. So we're going to do the following. Click this option, output range. Click here. And I'm going to select G3. And press enter. And then you can click OK. And it's going to make that for you. When I was in college, I used to do this by hand. It took forever to come up with this table. Now Excel can do it in, you close your eyes and it's done. Now, how much do you remember? I don't know. But coefficients. That's the main of all of those numbers, because this is not a stats class. We'll be concentrating mainly on that one, that column, coefficients. Because let me go to paper so you can see exactly what we're doing here. Whoa. Put something here. There. So we have those are 3 columns we have. Cost is my independent variable, and then this is X1, X2, and X3. You can have more, but they give us 3 variables in this case. And when you run the regression, you can make the following equation. Y equals that equation. Let me make it bigger. So now this is alpha. So alpha 0, alpha 1, alpha 2, and alpha 3. And then this is x1 is the number of units of A, x2 units of B, and x3 units of C. Okay? So if we plug in all the numbers in that equation, we can estimate what the total cost will be. Okay? And what we did with regression in Excel is calculate the following. We calculated alpha 0, 1, 2, and 3. So if you're the manager and you want to estimate, if I make 500 units of each one, what will be my total cost? So I'm going to plug in 500 here in X1, 500 in X2, and 500 in X3. And then Excel gave me the coefficients, and then we can do an estimation of the total cost. So let me go back to Excel. This right here, this coefficient, that's alpha 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So let's do the following. I want to estimate total cost. So it will be equal to what? What is the equation? Alpha 0, which is which one? The intercept. Plus what? Or since I'm going to do this one first, just because it's alpha 1 x1. So plus that one times what? Times the 500. Plus what? Alpha 0 times the next one, plus alpha 3 times done right now. And press enter. Make that a dollar sign. So if you're the manager, that'll give you an estimation of the total cost. It's not going to be exactly that, because the regression has errors, but it will be an approximation. So how much do you have to budget for your total cost if you plan to make 500 units of each one? Almost what? $40,620. Okay? So regression is very useful. What if you want to make 1,000 units of A? Automatically 41,600. 800 units of this one automatically calculates for you the total cost. Okay? Question: what if I make the following? 0, 0, 0. Then this is equal to what? To the intercept. And this number represents what? I mean, fixed cost, exactly. Because what are the two types of costs you have? Fixed and variable. And fixed means that it doesn't change with your output. So regardless, you have to budget how much? $35,000. That is your fixed cost. And then if you change those numbers, you can find your variable cost. I'm going to stop here. We still have some time in the class, not much, but